Good evening, I'm John Madden filling in for Jennifer Griswold. An immigrant family from Omaha facing deportation claims they were mistreated during the process, but the federal government denies those accusations. Ruta Osanada spoke with the family who was separated and ICE officials who claim all procedures were followed properly.
America's borders are facing a difficult crisis. Immigrants are being detained, families separated. But it's not just at our nation's borders where this happens to migrant families. According to one local family, it's happening right here in Omaha.
Feeling physically ill, I think. Our reaction on finding that ICE was holding children in a cell in the building for days at a time is just horror.
A Honduran migrant family detained in Omaha, a mother, father, and their 3 young children, 7, 8, and 12 years old. But a lawyer representing the family says it was under inappropriate circumstances, the children being detained for days at a time.
The situation is we don't have any kind of facilities in Nebraska or Iowa to hold children in ICE custody. It is appalling to me that children would be held in a cell for prisoners with no supervision, no one who's qualified to provide child care.
The lawyers representing the family saying that they've never seen anything like this.
This was a new experience for us and very, very concerning. These children were held in the immigration building in a cell. The immigration building is not an appropriate place for somebody to be overnight, so that is why they took them to the hotel to keep them overnight.
The father tells me that ICE agents knew the detention center wasn't able or equipped to hold 7- and 8-year-old children overnight, so the family was taken to this hotel in downtown Omaha, where they stayed overnight with armed guards inside the rooms and were taken back to the holding cell in the early hours of the morning.
Ellos ni podían ni dormir, pues.
They really couldn't sleep because they were basically strangers in the room.
Ver que estaban ahí con sus pistolas.
And armed strangers, and the children were afraid they could not sleep.
The family entered the U.S. in December of 2016. Last week, all within 36 hours, the entire family was detained and sent to Texas, where the mother and 12-year-old daughter were deported back to Honduras.
Incredibly fast. The fastest I've ever seen anybody deported in all my years of practicing law, and the first time I've seen children detained in Omaha.
The lawyers were able to temporarily delay the deportation process of the father and the 2 small children with a stay of removal due to the different paperwork the family members received when entering the country 2 years ago.
There are no standards that we know of or any rhyme or reason between who gets ordered removed at the border and who gets to come in and be paroled in. None of them had criminal history at the time that this happened. They were both entering with children. They were both entering in the same manner without inspection, and they were entering through the same port of entry, only separated by days. So it's very strange, and it's a good example of how inconsistent the process is.
The father and 2 children are back in Omaha. In his own words, the father told us this through a translator.
Pues lo que pasa es
the situation in our country right now is very difficult, and my wife, for example, tried to present evidence of her fear of going back to Honduras to claim asylum, and she wasn't allowed to do that.
Her mother wasn't given the opportunity to talk about her fear of returning to Honduras.
The question that remains is why these children were allegedly detained in a place not meant for immigrant children to be held.
I don't think it's appropriate for us to be detaining children in hotels or in immigration buildings that are not set to be detention centers.
In a statement from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they deny all allegations of wrongdoing and say, after a thorough investigation, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has determined the allegation is baseless and without merit. ICE first learned of this false allegation through the media, and at no time did the family make any claims of mistreatment or unbearable conditions. The statement goes on to say that the safety, rights, and health of detainees in ICE's care are of paramount concern, and all detention facilities are subject to regular inspections. Any compliance issues found during those reviews are promptly addressed through a uniform corrective action plan. ICE officials dealing with this specific case also say in a statement that between June 25th and 26th, the family was kept together at an ICE office building in Omaha. While there, they had full access to various services and foods, including TV, juice, meals, toys, coloring books, and crayons. On both evenings, when the office was closing for the day, the family was taken to a local hotel so they could remain together. At no point were any family members placed in isolation cells. The family apparently asked for legal representation during their detainment process and were ultimately denied any representation. They had to seek out help from close friends to get in contact with a lawyer.
Le dijimos que necesitábamos hablar un
I told them I want to talk to a lawyer, at least so that they can get the children to be in the custody of my mother, and they wouldn't accept that.
So when you try to ask for a lawyer, they said they wouldn't accept that?
Cuando preguntó por un abogado, no, te dijeron que no aceptan.
No aceptaron.
Yeah, they said no.
For now, the family remains separated and uncertain of their future.
Que pues nos tenían ahí.
I told the children that we are not here because we did anything bad. We're only here because we are not from this country, and that we're trying to have a better life.
In Omaha, Rudolph Sinaida, 3 News Now.
Local lawmakers are working to keep the remaining children and their father in the United States. If you want to read ICE's full statement, it's available on our website, 3newsnow.com.